Hi guys, my name is Samantha and I'm here to explain my DIY front walkway project and break it down step by step so that you too can do this at your home. All right, let's get into it. So this project really started with taking out all the pavers. That was the easiest part, labor intensive but easy. Took about half an hour to do all of that. I probably should have washed the pavers after I did that before putting them back in. Totally didn't. Once they were all removed, I made sure to clean out all the weeds that were left over. Anything was left on that base, I took it all out. There was already a compacted base underneath of 3/4 inch clear gravel, and I didn't feel the need to dig that level base. But if you have never laid pavers in your area, you do need to dig about 6 inches below. You need about 4 inches of 3/4 inch clear gravel and then about 2 inches or so of screening to really level it out. I then tamped everything down, so I made sure that the dirt underneath wasn't loose. And that's important just so that over time, I know that the dirt isn't going to shift and settle with time as we walk on the paver. So I tamped all that down. And then once that was done, I decided to add landscape fabric, which got a lot of controversy over that. I had some landscape fabric sitting around. It's super thick stuff. It's stuff that I used on my raised planter bed project. It's stuff that will let water pass through, but it's super thick and it's not supposed to degrade very quickly. After doing that, I added screening. So screening is a great tool to make sure that your pavers are nice and level before setting them. It moves and you compact it down to get it where you want it so that everything is nice and level before laying those pavers. I used this type of screening. I will link below. I learned from experience that there are superior screenings. So use my experience and check out the screening below and see if they have it available near you. Once I laid down about 4 bags of screening, I brushed it all out, made sure it was nice and smooth before getting some long levelers. In the video, you see me using a smaller level here. I also got a long one out to go vertically, and you do this so you want to make sure that the level that you're getting your sand and that level of that paver base, you don't want it to be going towards your house. You also don't want the middle of your pathway to be lower than the edges, even slightly, because then water is going to pool and sit there. So you want the middle to be a little bit elevated and you want it to be shifted away from the house very so slightly. Not enough that, it's super visible to the eye, but enough that water is going to run off. Very, very important. This is where you're going to tamp that down. I missed it here. You can see me using some water. I misted the entire area. And this is a little trick that I learned. You mist the entire area. You wait about 5 minutes. That screening hardens a little bit and then it makes it easier to compact down. It's a lot harder to compact screening down when it's not wet like this. And it doesn't stay in place. Once you compact down that screening, you're gonna have a nice, level, firm base, okay? Now, we don't want to wait a long time between having this beautiful base that we just created and laying our pavers. We need to do it right away. You need to be planning to do this part and laying the pavers the same day. You're laying your pavers. You want to make sure you have a rubber mallet. You want to make sure you set those pavers in the screening. I like to have an extra bag of screening with me so that I can really make sure that it gets level. So if my base moved at all, once I put my paver side by side, say this paver is a little bit lower than where I thought it would be, I might add a little bit of screening under this guy to bring it up here and to make sure they're level. So use the mallet, you're gonna just tap, tap, tap around the sides. Sometimes I tap a little bit harder, sometimes a little lighter. I just wanna make sure it's setting in place, it's not moving, okay? You wanna get them nice and snug and make sure they're level with each other. This part isn't too difficult, it's just time consuming and laborious. In all my pavers, I realized I probably should have put some edging on the side, and I would strongly recommend you putting that edging on the side. So any plastic edging will do. I use a no dig plastic edging that I will link here, and it worked beautifully. I did it after the fact, but really I would have recommended doing it after you lay all the pavers, then put your edging in before you're putting in the sand to lock it all. The next part here was brushing in the sand. So this is polymeric sand. Again, just like the screening, they are not all built the same. They are actually a wide range of variety in polymeric sand, and very important to get the right one. what you pay for with polymeric sand. So don't just opt for the cheap stuff because it will save you time in the long run with weeds. I'm gonna link that polymeric sand here. And so basically what you do is you just brush it in all of the cracks. This part honestly wasn't as quick as I thought it would be. This might have taken me like 20 or 30 minutes to get it really right. You wanna make sure it's really in all of the cracks, and you wanna make sure it's really pushed down. So I made sure it was in every little crack, it was flat, and then you also wanna make sure there's none left on the pavers themselves. All in the cracks, not on the pavers, because when you do wet it, it's going to harden like cement. And you're gonna have polymeric sand on top of your pavers, which is gonna give you like a hazy lime wash look to it, which is not the end of the world, but it will take quite a while before it washes away. To make sure there was none left on the pavers was I just got my leaf blower and I put it on a super low setting and just gave it a little blow to make sure that they all came off of the pavers. Harden the polymeric sand, you want to do a mist setting on your hose, and you just lightly spritz it until the pavers are no longer soaking up the water and it's starting to pool in that area. That's when you stop, and then you move to the next section. I want to make sure you do this on a day where you're not expecting any heavy rain for that evening, to make sure there's not going to be any crazy heavy rain that night. Otherwise, this polymeric sand is not going to have time to fully set, and you're going to have pour all that sand for nothing. It's just going to wash away. So you want to make sure that the weather forecast is in your favor as well before planning to do this. If there's a little bit of light rain, I think you're going to be okay, but no heavy rain for at least 24 hours. You're going to notice right away the polymeric sand is not going to be hard right away. It's not going to be hard in an hour or 2 hours. It's going to take a full 24 hours to cure, okay? So that means you don't want anybody walking on that path. And then after 24 hours, if you touch it, you'll notice it feels hard, like concrete. That's pretty much it. You know, every year you might have to pluck a few weeds here and there. That's what I'm hoping, at least. You know, in every couple of years, you might need to redo the polymeric sand. I am hoping at least gives me at least 5 years before I need to power wash and redo the polymeric sand. But I'm hoping that this DIY that took me about 6 hours total, I really believe anyone can do this. So if you have any other questions, and you feel like I haven't answered something specifically in this project, please let me know below. And if you like my content, follow along, because that shows me that you guys are liking what I'm doing and I'm